Lewis Hamilton is struggling. 3 words which, unfortunately, we have heard a lot in this start of the 2025 Formula One Championship and which Ferrari is trying to erase. At the Jeddah Corniche Circuit, the Italian side showed timid signs of recovery, but the performances of the 7-time Formula One world champion are beginning to raise some concerns. The British champion has shown difficulties both in qualifying and over the 300-kilometer race distance, with a heavy fuel load, appearing more like a passenger than a protagonist in his SF25 single-seater. We have already explained in various technical analyses that the 677 project is anything but a well-designed car. The Maranello team around Charles Leclerc has accommodated the Monegasque driver's requests through an extreme, high-performing configuration suited to his driving style. Conversely, Lewis Hamilton has yet to find the thread. The SF25 does not give him the confidence needed to perform at his best, and as a result, his performance has struggled to emerge. It is clear that Lewis is the one who could benefit most from the car's development and refinement process. The team's goal is to make the Italian car more neutral, manageable, and responsive to setup changes. After being disqualified in the Chinese Grand Prix for excessive plank wear, the setups adopted by Maranello's technicians and engineers could not overlook the necessity of avoiding another exclusion at all costs. In modern Formula One, a millimeter or a kilogram can make all the difference. Honestly, after the media hype surrounding the arrival of the British driver, few expected such a sluggish start from the super talent, despite his solid sprint race win and pole position at the Shanghai International Circuit, his only victory so far. Lewis Hamilton himself has made no secret of his deep disappointment. He made no excuses after the lackluster performance at the Jeddah circuit in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. If his teammate, with the same technical material, managed to earn a well-deserved podium just 8 seconds behind race winner Oscar Piastri, then humility is needed to question oneself. Lewis Hamilton did just that, fully aware that a period of adaptation was inevitable. This, considering that every team operates with different methods and procedures. The issue is that the SF25 car has not helped him in this initial phase, but he is not trying to justify himself, so why should we? What is certain is that the historic Maranello-based team will support him in every way to help him get through this difficult phase. The Italian side confirmed this through team principal Vasseur. In other words, the utmost effort will be made to allow the 7-time Formula One world champion to express his potential consistently. Many have bet on the revitalizing effect that moving to Ferrari could have for the Briton, in what may be the final chapter of his long career. According to what has been reported by various Italian news media outlets, the British champion took up the challenge with the mindset of someone who knows he must start from scratch. After all, Lewis Hamilton is the first to know that past success grinds no grain. One cannot live off past glory, especially at Maranello, where even multiple world champions have failed to add to the prancing horse's trophy cabinet. Some examples: Alain Prost, Fernando Alonso, and Sebastian Vettel. Though they reached the pinnacle of their careers, they clashed with the harsh Italian reality that too often shows no mercy. A change of pace is needed, and quickly. Lewis Hamilton has already started to do just that, sacrificing part of his promotional and personal commitments to fully immerse himself in daily work alongside his engineers. The former Mercedes driver does not intend to merely make a symbolic appearance as a living legend of the top category. That is why this week, he is spending a lot of time at the Maranello factory, a lot more than expected. At the same time, his signing represents the first true decision strongly desired by the current leadership of the Italian team. In that sense, we cannot forget that the British champion is a clear investment that cannot fail, because a potential flop in this racing campaign would inevitably call into question the vision and capabilities of those currently leading Ferrari. However, the marketing tied to the partnership of the century must be fueled by results on the track. Otherwise, the entire operation risks turning into a perfect boomerang, loud and damaging for the Maranello squad. Ferrari cannot afford to get this move wrong, and for that reason as well, it will do everything to fiercely protect the capital and legacy invested. Lewis Hamilton's recruitment to the team was very much the pet project of Ferrari's ultimate boss, John Elkann. But the Italian industrialist has bigger responsibilities within the gigantic Stellantis automotive group than worrying about how Lewis Hamilton handles entry oversteer, combined with mid-corner understeer. But we can be certain his dissatisfaction with current levels of performance, both the Maranello teams in its shortfall to the front and Lewis Hamilton's in his shortfall to Charles Leclerc will be transmitted to the team itself, down through team principal Frederic Vasseur, and from there to the rest of the team. The longer the situation prevails, the bigger that pressure becomes. Likewise, Formula One's business model is almost configured to feature a competitive Ferrari, and for its biggest profile star Hamilton to be in a competitive car. Liberty Media and Formula One Chief Executive Officer Stefano Domenicali will not be unconcerned with the way the Briton is underperforming in the way they would be over anyone else. Back when Daniel Ricciardo was qualifying an average of 0.3 seconds off Lando Norris, who had yet to win a Grand Prix at that stage at McLaren in 2022, it was not deemed to be sustainable, and ultimately he could not continue there despite having a contract to do so. Daniel Ricciardo at that time seemed to be just as much at a loss to understand his shortfall as Lewis Hamilton currently is. But the pressures are rather different. A competitive run in the sprint race in Miami might give the 7-time Formula One world champion some breathing space. But the solutions, from the team and from Lewis Hamilton himself, desperately need to be coming sooner than what the British driver seems to be envisaging. Ferrari boss Fred Vasseur has dismissed that 2025 could be considered a transitional Formula One season for Lewis Hamilton amid his initial struggles with the team. The Briton has endured an unsettled opening to his long-awaited Ferrari spell as he has encountered complications adapting to the team's inconsistent SF25 machine and has trailed behind teammate Charles Leclerc in all 5 races to date, including last weekend in Saudi Arabia when he ended more than 30 seconds behind. That crushing loss prompted a despondent Lewis Hamilton to contend that he is primed to experience a painful campaign, the last one with the current ground effect cars. But while the new rule set could offer the former Mercedes man a much-needed reset, Frederic Vasseur dismissed the idea that the British driver would need to wait until then to rediscover his form. The French manager stated that it was not a transitional period, but acknowledged Lewis Hamilton was feeling down, something understandable given that he finished 6th while his teammate reached the podium. He considered the driver's disappointment to be a positive sign, explaining that if Lewis were content with such a result, it would be abnormal. As a racer and competitor, Hamilton naturally wanted to extract the maximum from his car, so his frustration was only expected. Frederic Vasseur emphasized that the only way forward was for the team and Hamilton to work together and respond collectively. Lewis Hamilton had appeared to put behind him the struggles that marked his final season with Mercedes in 2024, especially after his sprint race win in China, his second outing with Ferrari. However, as his performance had declined since then, Frederic Vasseur stressed that the responsibility lay with Ferrari to provide Hamilton with the tools he needed to replicate his success in Shanghai. The Frenchman affirmed his full support for Hamilton, pledging to back him completely and start working with him immediately to identify causes and solutions, beginning as early as the next morning. Despite the recent challenges, Frederic Vasseur said he was not overly concerned. He pointed to Hamilton's performances in China, Bahrain, and even during parts of the most recent weekend as evidence that the potential was certainly there. The issue, he explained, was primarily related to car balance. Both Hamilton and the team had been struggling to find the right equilibrium and to optimize tire usage. While he acknowledged the presence of a weak spot, Frederic Vasseur was confident that the car had strong potential and expressed determination to resolve the matter.